You know, when you own a home with a septic system, you kind of exist in this state of quiet domestic bliss.
Mm. Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. Until it's not. And when that system fails, it instantly leaps from being this invisible utility to becoming this single most urgent, unpleasant, and yeah, expensive problem you face.
Oh, for sure.
We're talking about the odors, the sluggish drains, and just that cold dread of a catastrophic backup.
It's the definition of a crisis moment for a homeowner. And what's so frustrating is that many people, they try to solve this crisis with what they know. Old chemical formulas or maybe enzyme-only additives.
Things you see on the shelf.
Right. And they might offer some temporary relief, if any, but they don't address the fundamental issue plaguing the system.
Exactly. They're trying to treat a symptom, not the actual disease. Today, however, we are taking a necessary deep dive into a technology that the experts we consulted say is, well, fundamentally changing how homeowners maintain their septic systems.
We're talking about oxygen-based treatments.
We are. We've synthesized insights from two fantastic sources: John Maxwell, a licensed plumber with over 2 decades in the trenches, and Dr. Helen Ward, an environmental microbiologist.
And they both point to the same root cause and the same solution.
So our mission today is to really understand the science behind this shift. Why is oxygen the key missing ingredient in almost every struggling septic tank?
Yeah.
And how does enabling microbial activity succeed where those traditional chemical-heavy approaches have just historically failed?
Well, the consensus is really strong, and it starts with defining the enemy. The environment inside most failing septic tanks has turned overwhelmingly anaerobic.
Anaerobic, meaning it lacks sufficient oxygen.
Exactly. It's missing the necessary free-floating oxygen to support efficient decomposition.
Okay, let's unpack this a little. If a septic system is basically a closed box underground, surely it's designed to be somewhat anaerobic, right?
Oh.
Why is the loss of oxygen, this shift to chronic anaerobic conditions, why is that so catastrophic?
That's a great question. It's all about balance and efficiency. I mean, while the system always operates with low oxygen, chronic anaerobic conditions signal that let's call them the bad actors, the slow-working bacteria, have completely taken over.
And when that happens?
When oxygen vanishes, waste breaks down through fermentation instead of respiration, and that process is just inherently slow and dirty.
And what are the dirty outputs? We've all smelled them.
Well, the slow breakdown causes two main issues. First, the sludge layer, that's the undigested solids. It thickens and rises much, much faster, forcing you to get more pump outs.
Which costs money.
A lot of money. And second, fermentation produces those notoriously foul gases, methane, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide.
A rotten egg smell.
That's the one. And it isn't just unpleasant. It's a chemical signal that you have a deeply dysfunctional tank.
Okay, let's pause and consider the old remedies. The sources are pretty clear that people pour a lot of, ineffective products down the drain, hoping for a miracle. Why do those traditional fixes consistently fall short?
They really just approach the problem from the wrong angle. Take the harsh chemical treatments. They might, initially clear a blockage.
A temporary win.
A very temporary win because they're indiscriminate killers.
Right.
They wipe out the critical, beneficial bacteria, the very workforce the system needs, leaving the tank chemically sterilized and biologically inert.
And what about the enzyme-only solutions? They sound helpful, like a natural boost.
They're certainly better than chemicals, but they don't fix the core efficiency problem. See, enzymes are catalysts. They cut large molecules into smaller pieces, but they don't actually digest them.
So they're just preparing the meal, they're not eating it.
Perfectly put. If the microbial population, the workers, is too small or too slow because of that anaerobic environment, the enzymes don't lead to lasting relief. They're a temporary patch at best.
So the crucial contrast here is that this oxygen release approach, it doesn't just mask the odor or sterilize the tank. It seeks to rehabilitate the entire microbial ecosystem by giving the existing workers a massive tool upgrade.
Oxygen.
Let's shift now to the practical side of this. When we talk to John Maxwell, the licensed plumber, he's seeing the results in the field. He's the one opening up these tanks. What tangible, field-level observations convinced him that this oxygen approach is genuinely different?
John's perspective is just so crucial because he deals with the consequences of failure every day. I mean, he sees tanks where the sludge layer is so thick and dense, it looks like cement.
Wow.
Yeah, and the smell can make you physically ill. He told our sources that the single biggest visual difference when a client switches to an oxygen treatment is the texture and density of that sludge.
Okay, so what does healthy sludge look like compared to the bad anaerobic sludge?
Anaerobic sludge is heavy, compressed, and it sinks into this dense layer, which reduces your tank's volume very quickly.
Hmm.
But when you introduce oxygen and that aerobic digestion takes over, the sludge becomes lighter, almost fluffy. Fluffy, because the hyper-efficient bacteria are consuming the solids completely, turning them into mostly liquid and harmless gases. It settles less, and you need fewer pump-outs.
That structural change has huge implications for the homeowner's wallet.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Maxwell also noted that just the ability to see the system improving during an inspection is unprecedented. He highlighted faster digestion, the natural die-off of harmful bacteria, the near elimination of odor, and, this is the big one, the revitalization of clogged drain fields.
Okay, now drain field failure is the homeowner's true nightmare. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars to repair. Does he offer any stories on recovery? Because that sounds almost too good to be true.
He shared observations where drain fields that were clearly struggling, with symptoms like standing water or that suspiciously green grass, they began to slowly drain again.
Ah.
And he attributes this directly to the change in the quality of the effluent, the liquid, leaving the tank. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, "I can literally see the system healing itself over a couple of months."
That makes the shift from the field to the lab essential. We need to understand why this healing happens. Let's bring in the science from Dr. Helen Ward, the microbiologist.
What's fascinating here is how introducing oxygen just fundamentally alters the energy landscape for these microbes. Dr. Ward is all about maximizing the power of aerobic breakdown.
Right, creating that balanced, oxygenated ecosystem.
Precisely. You shift from slow, inefficient digestion to rapid, robust digestion.
And we keep hearing about this staggering difference in efficiency. Why are aerobic bacteria so much more powerful than their anaerobic cousins? Here's where it gets really interesting.
It really comes down to basic cellular respiration. Anaerobic bacteria rely on fermentation, a very low energy yield process. They are, inefficient engines.
A sputtering two-stroke engine.
Great analogy. But aerobic bacteria use oxygen, and that's the biological equivalent of switching from that sputtering engine to a high-performance turbine.
And the numbers back this up in a pretty jaw-dropping way.
They really do. Aerobic bacteria are estimated to be 20 to 30 times more effective at digesting organic waste.
20 to 30 times.
Yes. At digesting everything. Fats, oils, toilet paper, proteins, the works. That massive leap in efficiency means the system processes waste almost instantaneously compared to the old, slow method.
And this metabolic change is what solves the odor problem, correct? It changes the chemistry of the gas production.
Precisely. Those awful smells, hydrogen sulfide and methane, are key byproducts of anaerobic life. By flooding the tank with oxygen, you suppress those toxic, smelly, gas-producing organisms.
So instead of those sulfur-based gases, what are we left with?
You're left with the clean outputs of aerobic respiration.
Mm.
Harmless water, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen gas. The yard smell improves dramatically because you've neutralized the source.
Let's go back to the drain field and that critical component, biomat. We know it clogs the system. What is it exactly, and how does oxygen conquer it?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, biomat is this dense, sticky, gelatinous biofilm. It's mostly made by the anaerobic bacteria, and it forms a virtually impenetrable barrier around the drain field soil.
So it stops water from filtering out.
Exactly. It just can't absorb. And that leads to oversaturation, puddles, and eventually the complete failure of the leach field.
So the biomat is literally the sludge that escaped the tank and then solidified the drain field.
That's a good way to put it. When you use oxygen-based treatments, the highly efficient aerobic bacteria migrate into the drain field, and they actively consume that sticky biomat. They eat it.
Wow.
This allows the soil pores to open back up, restoring the system's natural ability to absorb and filter water.
Ah.
And that prevents those catastrophic backups.
Okay, the science is clear. Oxygen is the key. But delivering it effectively to a large, dirty environment like a septic tank can't be easy. You can't just pour peroxide down the drain.
No, absolutely not. That's the engineering challenge. The technology uses a combined approach of physical, chemical, and biological action. It's not about one huge shock dose. It's about a slow, sustained release.
The timed release.
Exactly. It has to be timed to make sure the entire volume of the tank, from top to bottom, gets the benefit.
The second key action you mentioned is pH balancing. Why is getting the pH right so crucial for the bacteria?
Well, think of pH as the environment's thermostat. Beneficial aerobic bacteria have a sweet spot, usually near neutral pH, where they thrive and multiply the fastest.
And septic tanks can get out of whack.
Oh yeah, they often become too acidic or too alkaline. By buffering the pH, the treatment suppresses the harmful bacteria while creating the perfect nursery conditions for the good aerobic guys to just take over.
And the final action is the delivery of the specialized workforce itself.
Yes, the introduction of specially selected beneficial bacterial strains. And these aren't just generic bacteria. They're chosen for their ability to digest the full spectrum of everything in your tank solids, grease, fats, oils, even toilet paper.
They're the cleanup crew.
They're the highly trained cleanup crew ready to work in that newly oxygenated and pH-balanced environment.
What separates this from those old enzyme solutions?
It's the sustainability. Enzyme products only last for hours. These oxygen-based treatments, through that timed release and pH control, offer long-lasting relief. They work for weeks. And critically, they do it without harsh chemicals. It's restoration, not scorched earth.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful in theory, but what does the homeowner actually see? If you were to switch to this technology, what's the observable timeline of improvements?
The initial change is rapid and extremely noticeable. Because the oxygen suppresses the gas-producing bacteria so quickly, odors typically disappear within a very short time frame, often just 3 to 5 days.
3 to 5 days, that's fast.
It is. That immediate relief is often what convinces people that it's working. Then, as the aerobic digestion starts eating away at clogs, slow drains improve dramatically, usually within 1 to 2 weeks.
And the big one, the sludge reduction.
That's the longer-term structural improvement. You'll see measurable reduction in the sludge layer as the bacteria work continuously over, say, 30 to 90 days.
So ultimately, the end result is just lower maintenance costs, fewer pump outs, and hopefully avoiding that dreaded drain field replacement.
I think John Maxwell's analogy really sums it up perfectly. He said, "A septic tank with oxygen is like a campfire with dry wood. It burns cleaner, faster, and with less smoke."
That distinction between smoldering and burning clean is brilliant. Now, beyond using these treatments, we can't forget basic maintenance. What are the key preventative tips we should leave everyone with?
The do not dump list is absolutely critical. You cannot expect any biological system to thrive if you poison it. So rigorously avoid large volumes of bleach, paint thinners, harsh antibacterial soaps, and definitely no grease or non-degradable wipes.
Even the flushable ones.
Especially the flushable ones. They are the ultimate system killers.
And the proactive steps, the do maintain list.
That includes routine pumping every 2 to 4 years or so, but also use appropriate biological treatments monthly to keep that aerobic efficiency high, spread out your large laundry loads across the week, and just make sure the drain field area itself remains physically sound.
So what does this all mean? We've learned that the vast majority of septic system failures really stem from this one invisible enemy: chronic anaerobic imbalance.
Which causes slow digestion, foul gas, and catastrophic biomat buildup.
Yeah.
And the modern, science-backed solution is to fix that root biological problem. By introducing controlled, timed oxygen, you shift the system into a hyper-efficient aerobic state.
It's not a quick fix or a cover-up, it's biological optimization.
Exactly. It fundamentally extends the life and performance of your system.
And that shift in efficiency, that 20 to 30 times faster digestion, is the truly staggering takeaway. For you, the curious learner, consider this. If simply introducing controlled oxygen makes such a vast exponential difference in a massive underground wastewater system, where else in your daily life, or even in industrial processes, could controlled aeration or oxygen exposure create a similar, exponentially more efficient biological or chemical process? It makes you realize that sometimes the simplest element really is the most powerful catalyst for change.